that killed a former fire chief and it injured 2 others in the crowd. It's absolutely insane, right? How is that not intentional?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
Some reports also suggest that Homeland rebuffed multiple requests from Trump to increase protective details for this event. Congress is furious with the Secret Service and Kimberly Cheatle, the director who is in charge of making sure presidents don't get shot in the head, and she's terrible at her job. We have a whole slew of failures that we've now uncovered, and a bunch of different reports are coming out, including this one. Apparently, the shooter was spotted by law enforcement 30 minutes before he started shooting. It's absolutely insane. So how can you say this is not intentional if they're letting this guy get into position and then unpack his rifle and then fire? So here this story came from this organization called 11 News, WPXI, and they were breaking this, saying alleged Trump shooter was spotted by law enforcement nearly 30 minutes before the shots were fired. It says Channel 11 News uncovered dramatic new details that in the moments leading up to the shooting. According to multiple law enforcement sources, whoever those people are, Thomas Crooks was spotted by law enforcement on a roof nearly 30 minutes before the shots were fired. That is insane. That killed a former fire chief and it injured 2 others in the crowd. It's absolutely insane, right? How is that not intentional? Channel 11's Nicole Ford confirmed that Beaver County's ESU team had 8 members at the rally, including snipers and spotters. According to Ford's sources, one of them noticed a suspicious man on a roof near the rally at 5:45, called it in, and took a picture of the person. We have learned from our sources that the person in that picture is Thomas Crooks. We're told it's not clear if Crooks had a gun with him at that point. According to multiple sources, a law enforcement officer had also previously seen Crooks on the ground and called him in as a suspicious person with a picture prior to 5:45. So another cop also saw him. Our sources tell us an officer checked the grounds for Crooks at that point, but did not see him where the first picture was taken. It's like when you go look for a package, you're like, oh, I guess it's not here. So I guess the shooter's not on the roof. 26 minutes after the second picture of Crooks was taken by the law enforcement and the information was called in, shots were fired from the roof of the American Glass Research Building. Seconds later, a Secret Service sniper returned fire and killed Crooks. So 30 minutes, we've got cops who are noticing this, calling it in, and it's just allowed to happen. Someone goes, pokes his head up, nothing there. Oh, don't know what happens. And we have a dead man as a result of this, and almost a dead president and injured people. So how is that not intentional? So we also know that, as we saw in prior clips from CNN, that there were apparently a sniper team inside the building as well. Here's what BeaverCountian.com reported for us. This was an exclusive as well. So all these local news agencies are coming out with some good stuff. Other, national networks are doing their thing. But here is what we saw from BeaverCountian. It says a Beaver County police officer warned a command center of seeing a man with a rangefinder before President Trump was shot on Saturday. So the officer had warned that the man was scoping out the roof of the building that he was stationed in as a counter sniper, and that the man returned with a backpack before ultimately scaling the building. What on earth? He was stationed in as a counter sniper. He was inside the building. Now, despite all of these warnings, the officer had also warned the man was scoping out the roof. He's got a rangefinder to see how far Trump is away so he can shoot him. Despite all of those warnings, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks at Bethel Park was able to continue in his plan to become Trump's would-be assassin. Beaver Countian spoke with multiple law enforcement sources about the security provided by agencies from Beaver, Butler, and Washington counties. They claimed that there was a lack of manpower and, quote, extremely poor planning, which you might just say, well, that's just a mistake, or it's intentional. Put Trump's life in danger and kill the man. Now, while the United States Secret Service provided security within a secure perimeter of the rally, local law enforcement agencies were tasked with securing outside of the magnetometers that they go through. Now, contrary to reports of several national news outlets, officers say the building just outside the security perimeter established by the Secret Service was in fact occupied by law enforcement. There were counter snipers located in the building that the shooter eventually used to take shots at Trump. Snipers on the roof, bumbling counter snipers are in the building, not on the roof. And we're going to learn why. Now, officers spoke to Beaver Countian on condition that they not be quoted by name because the feds are breathing down their necks and they don't want to get in trouble. But a security operations plan had also been in place. And so it's to counter the 3 snipers, but due to a lack of manpower, the men did not have spotters assigned to them, as would be standard operating procedure. So just total incompetence. And they're telling us also now that they weren't on the roof because the roofs were sloped. Here's the story. The Secret Service director gives a bizarre reason. Hey, why were those people inside inside the building and they were not actually on the roof. Here is what Kimberly Cheatle had to say in response. She says, well, the roofs were just sloped. We all ask ourselves, that's weird, because these snipers, as you can see right here, they were also on sloped roofs. Nothing very surprising about that. The roof is sloped. That's where they were. So why is there a problem? Here, embattled Secret Service head Kimberly Cheatle has revealed the fateful and the bizarre reason why her agency failed to put an agent on the roof. Cheatle, who's facing calls to resign over the massive security failure, said Secret Service officials planning security considered the warehouse, but they said it would be too risky of a position to put an agent on there. Too risky because Trump might live if someone was up there. Chilling new details have revealed that a team of local police snipers were inside the building when they opened fire, shooting Trump in the ear and killing someone. Crooks managed to evade cops and the Secret Service 3 times, they report, even though he had been deemed suspicious. He could have been on the roof for up to 30 minutes before he pulled the trigger. Witnesses also begged law enforcement to act. They saw him clamber onto the roof with his AR-style rifle, but the lapse in security meant he was able to carry out his bid to take out Trump. The mistakes that led to Trump's life almost being killed spark calls for Cheatle to step down. Congress is furious, but she's not going anywhere apparently. She says, no, why would I leave? I have everybody who is supporting me. And here's some more news. The video, the shooter was seen by some attendees at least 1 minute before Trump was even shot, right? Another failure point. So all these people are noticing there's a shooter on the roof and the Secret Service didn't or couldn't do anything about it.
As we're going to watch this video together, it's about a minute long that you can see the video moving around. Let's listen in together.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that
He's crawling up there.
dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
On the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went squat on the roof again.
The way it's described is the crowd there, as you can see, spotted the gunman more than a minute before the shooting, and you can see them, hear them calling out for law enforcement to try to draw their attention to it.
Look at that very
Just
sloped roof.
remarkable
Wow.
in seeing how this played out,
Dangerous.
how close he was, some 450, 500 feet from Donald Trump. We know what happened in the minute after that.
Yeah, he shot Trump in the head. So that is just another wild scene. Now, Kimberly Cheatle, the director of the Secret Service, is not going anywhere. She says, I'm sticking around. I'm doing a great job. She got interviewed by ABC News. Here's what that sounded like when they were asking her if she's going to be held accountable for
The
this.
roof of that building just 2 minutes before he opened fire. Yeah, look, there he is. You can hear bystanders desperately trying to alert police. Authorities now using that video as part of the investigation. And tonight, ABC News has learned that heavily...
Whoa, look at those guys. They're standing on it. Holy crap. Are they like magicians or something? They must be professional gymnasts with balance beam practice or experience.
Armed local police were stationed inside that building.
Wow,
and
incredible.
Thomas crooks climbing up
Man, that guy's even leaning over. Is he out of his mind?
outside of the building to the roof. The same building was being used as a staging area for local police, according to 2 law enforcement officials. And Butler Township officials are confirming ABC News' reporting that a local police officer climbed up the roof and confronted Brooks moments before the shooting.
The officer grabbed hold of the edge of the building, pulled himself up to be able to look, and according to what he's told me, shooter turned, rifle was pointed at the officer.
Wow.
Officer, defensive move, kind of ducked, fell, lost his grip on the building.
Investigators tonight trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter climbing seemingly unimpeded about 400 feet from the stage with a direct line of sight on the former president.
Take a look at what happened.
Washington lawmakers demanding answers, calling on the Secret Service director to appear before Congress. We sat down with Director Kim Cheatle today for an exclusive interview.
What was your reaction when you saw the events unfold on Saturday?
Shock and then concern, obviously, for the former president. This is an event that should have never happened.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with
Yeah.
me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
The president and
Shouldn't happen
Homeland
again,
Security
yeah.
Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign.
I appreciate the Secretary's comments, and we're going to continue to be transparent and communicate with people.
Do you plan to stay on? Absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
Yeah, because she's got a lot of work to do. Her job is not done yet, you know? So, all right, that's Cheatle. Now, the rest of the White House is standing by their woman, and they're very excited about supporting her. Karine Jean-Pierre got asked about this from the White House House podium. Here is what she said in this clip.
A couple of things, yes. So the answer is yes, but I do want to say the director is working hard to examine what happened and to ensure protectees have needed security, and she is committed to cooperate fully with the independent review that the president obviously announced and directed to move forward with just a day or so ago. Everything is moving so quickly. The men and women at the Secret Service have a hard job. As you heard the secretary mention, they work tirelessly every day to protect the president, former presidents, and other people. Their mission is critical, and we need all hands on deck in this moment. Right now, we are focused on getting all the facts so we can get to the bottom of this, of what happened. It is important for the American people to know what happened. That's why the president directed an independent review and direct the Secret Service to provide Donald Trump and all other protectees the resources needed to ensure safety, and order the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republic Convention, which is what you've heard directly from the Secret Service speak to in the past 24 hours or so. But yes, he has confidence.
And does he have confidence in Secretary Mayorkas, obviously, since
Yes.
And does the president have plans, or has he spoken with the family of the man who was killed at the rally?
So you heard me at the top, and you heard the president speak in his Oval Address, and one time before that, obviously, and he gave a heartfelt condolences to Corey's family and the families, obviously, who were affected by the horrific shooting on Saturday. And so the president understands loss, obviously, as you all know. He understands what it means to lose someone that you love.
Why? Because his son got brain cancer? Is that where she's going? Okay, not exactly the same thing, but all right. So here is Alejandro Mayorkas, and he's digging in. He's saying, she's doing a great job over there. Homeland Security's great. Not only is our border secure, but we're not even letting presidents actually get shot in the head. You know, it's like, it missed him. It missed him. So we're doing a good job, you know, here.
Mr. Secretary, you've said that there was a failure here. There's a criminal investigation up and running. What is taking time for the independent investigation to be up and running? And it didn't sound like you were giving a timeline of when that will occur.
We're going to commence the independent review as quickly as possible. We are going to be reaching out very, very shortly to individuals who will hopefully lead that independent review, and I will communicate to those leaders the need for swiftness of action in light of the fact that we are dealing with a security protocol.
But if that's the case, is this like days, weeks? What is your sense of timing of when this review will be up and running, given the security?
Days.
To follow up on that question, you say an independent review, you're reaching out to people who will lead that. Are you talking about people outside of government? Are you committed to somebody who does not work for you or for President Biden to lead this review?
I am committed to going externally of the department and externally of the government so that no question of its independence can be raised.
Thanks.
That's good.
Secretary, I understand.
If I may, Peter, it's very important that this independent review have the confidence of the people.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it does or not. I don't have any hopes that anything that comes from them will be a fair and independent review. But I do think that Trump should have his team looking at this. I'm sure that they are already. I know he's got private security out the wazoo from his prior life as a billionaire. But it is interesting. So Mayorkas, we have an independent review. Karine is going to continue to talk about political violence, and Biden knows what it's like to lose someone like his son from brain cancer or something. But we've got Congress is now digging into this. So several different letters have been fired out. We've got Comer, who's demanding evidence from the Secret Service. Hawley is demanding the Democrats hold a hearing. And we have Homeland Security Committee in the House of Representatives that's also demanding stuff from Mayorkas as well. And so let's take a look at some of these materials to see what is being done about all of this. The first story is from the Oversight Committee. You can see James Comer and Republicans have now sent a letter to U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle saying we want a ton of information no later than Thursday this week. And let's take a look at the actual letter. So Comer sent this one over to Kimberly Cheatle, and this was drafted on the 15th. So here's what they want from the Secret Service. They say, all right, this is the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Dear Kimberly Cheatle, Director of the U.S. Secret Service, says the Committee on Oversight is now investigating the assassination attempt on Trump. We got a need for clarity about how the Secret Service managed their resources and what happened on July 13th, the campaign in Butler, Pennsylvania. And so in anticipation of your appearance before the committee next week, we want information about the assassination. Here's what we want. The Oversight Committee requests the following, and that it be produced no later than this Thursday, July 18th. They say we want a complete list of all law enforcement personnel, including Secret Service, DHS, law enforcement, with roles in protecting Trump on J14. So names, complete list of names, all the people who were involved, everybody. And that's great. I want the entire chain of command. And how did these calls get routed? How does one officer poke his head up, see someone has a rifle, get freaked out, call it in? When did that happen? Who made the call? And what happened to the call? We need names to compare all all of that. We want all audio and video recordings that were in the Secret Service's possession or custody related to Trump's campaign rally. So all of those, right? Who called into you and said that there was a shooter on the roof? We want any memos or notice that were issued by the director to Secret Service personnel. So anything that Kimberly Cheatle drafted and wrote about the assassination of Trump, we want this information no later than July 29th, so start working on it. We also want all documents and communications related to the Secret Service protection, including the pre-site survey that identifies the security concerns and a mitigation of those security concerns, and monthly office protective operations reports. We want all of that. We want internal documents, including text messages, email communications between Secret Service and DHS, all related to the campaign. We want documents and communications, including text messages and email communications between Secret Service related to Trump's campaign in Butler, all communications, text messages among Secret Service personnel and law enforcement personnel, so we're both teams. We want all maps, aerial views, diagrams, and assessments in possession or in custody of the Secret Service. Did they even do anything? Did they have anything? They're like, can you go pull the Trump file? They pull it out. It's like a manila file folder with like 2 sheets in there. That would explain it. All remote surveillance data, including but not limited to drones, listening devices, remote cameras, satellites, all these things used for the rally. And the Secret Service is going to come back. We're not going to give you any of this, okay? These are our sources and methods. So we're not going to talk about our methods and our internal operations, and you're going to have to send a subpoena. So they're going to tell them to shove it, no doubt. But lastly, we request that you guys preserve all documents related to the rally. And to make arrangements for any of this stuff, call our team. You know, we're the House of Representatives. We have a lot of power to do a lot of stuff. And so get it to us ASAP, Kimberly, Director of the Secret Service. Sincerely, your friends, bunch of people in Congress. So good stuff there. We want to know all of that information, and I can't wait to see how they intend to not provide it. But similarly, we had another letter. This one went out over to Homeland Security. This one is from Mark Green, who is the chairman of what we know as the Homeland Security Committee from the House of Representatives. So he's speaking for the entire body there, Homeland Security team. And he sent this one not over to the Secret Service, but to Homeland Security. Alejandro Mayorkas, same guy responsible for wrecking the border under Joe Biden, says, okay, here, dear Secretary Mayorkas, you're the person in charge of Homeland Security here. And so we have something that we need from you. First of all, yesterday evening, a gunman attempted to assassinate Trump at his presidential rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and they wounded him right in the ear. The committee is grateful for the swift response of the Secret Service, and we're glad that Trump's not dead, that the shooter was neutralized, though tragically one rally attendee was killed and 2 others have been critically injured. Now, the seriousness of this security failure and this chilling moment in our nation's history cannot be understated. No assassination attempt has come so close to taking the life of a president or a presidential candidate since President Reagan was shot in 1981. Had the bullet's trajectory been even slightly different, the assassination attempt on Trump might have succeeded. Now, as the Secret Service investigates, Homeland Security Committee is now dedicated to conducting rigorous oversight to ensure that the American people receive answers and presidential candidates receive proper and adequate protection. According to the Secret Service, the shooter fired multiple shots toward the stage from an elevated position outside the rally. This raises serious concerns about how the shooter was able to access the rooftop within the range and the direct line of sight where Trump was speaking. And additionally, some reports also suggest that Homeland rebuffed multiple requests from Trump to increase protective details for this event. And these people are sharing that right here from X. Now, to assist the committee in its oversight, we want to know more about the attempted assassination of Trump. And so give us this information immediately, saying here is what we need. Documents sufficient to show the security plan to secure the perimeter of the event. How did you intend to secure the perimeter, including areas where the shooter attempted to get on the roof, and other areas I want to know what you guys thought were possible vulnerabilities. All documents, including but not limited to emails, text messages, internal memos, guidance from Homeland, Secret Service, the Executive Office of the President. Was Joe Biden sending any text messages to you guys referring or relating to any potential increase or addition of protective resources to President Trump's security details? And documents sufficient to explain the U.S. Secret Service's rules of engagement or protocols to assess or neutralize threats towards a protectee. So this is a critically important item. We heard initial reporting was that the Secret Service was waiting for permission to authorize to shoot the shooter, which is insane. That they needed to wait for him to open fire first before they could take him out, which is opposite to even the standard law enforcement rules of engagement. They don't have to wait until the robber is actually pumping lead into them before they fire back. So why would the Secret Service? And in particular for assassination attempts, right? Not just regular shootings. Now, documents sufficient to explain the coordination between the Secret Service and the TSA and law enforcement and how they operated to screen the rally attendees, and copies of any and all briefings that were created created by DHS or the Secret Service, including talking points. We want to know what Mayorkas was told to say and who wrote it for him, and Director Kimberly Cheatle, and what they used to brief Joe Biden about. What did they tell Joe Biden about, and could he even read it? And additionally, the committee requests the department provide this information on the attempted assassination of Trump no later than July 22nd. Please let us know if you have any questions. Rule 10 of the House of Representatives say we have a ton of power, and so get us what we need. And that is from the Homeland Security Committee for the House of Representatives. So another very nice letter. And there's one more from Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley also sent in a demand from the Senate, and here's what he said. I'm formally demanding a full investigation by the Senate Homeland Security Committee. We just read from the House, but now we're asking about the Senate. July 14th, to the Honorable Gary Peters, the chairman in the Senate, says, okay, yesterday the world witnessed an assassination attempt on Trump, the former president and the presumptive Republican nominee for the presidency. Trump has stated he was shot in the ear, nearly killed. One civilian was killed and murdered, while other two were critically injured. There is no place for this egregious violence in our republic, and these warrant an immediate, comprehensive, and public congressional information. Although we still do not have all the facts, the little that we do know suggests a staggering security failure. Evidently, the shooter was able to gain an elevated position on a rooftop with a clear line of sight on the president, well within accurate range with a firearm. The details of this tragedy must be vigorously investigated by Congress and we're the Senate, including the motive of the shooter and the serious operational failures that occurred. So these matters are within the jurisdiction of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, and I call on you, Democrats, to launch a full public comprehensive committee investigation into this assassination attempt and failures to adequately protect the former president. This investigation must include public testimony, public hearings, and robust oversight over the relevant federal departments. We must hear from Alejandro Mayorkas from Homeland and from Kimberly Cheatle from the Secret Service. Nothing should be classified. Nothing should be withheld from the public. Hawley says, our prayers are with the President Trump, the family of the slain American, and the innocent civilians who were injured. We owe it to the victims to get to the bottom of what happened, and the American people deserve answers. And so that is what we see from Congress. A bunch of investigations now taking place from the Senate, from Homeland Security, from House of Representatives, multiple different committees. We'll see if Homeland or the Secret Service ultimately respond, but we'll not hold our breath because we know that they don't respond to anything else that the Republicans want. They are not releasing their tapes, and the list goes on and on.